Yearly rankings come and go, but it's time to look at the big picture. Welcome to MojoTravels, and today we're counting down top 10 passports that gained the most power in the last decade. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to MojoTravels, and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the passports that experienced the greatest growth between 2010 and 2019, as identified by passportindex.org. Since the overall power ranking of passports are continually changing, it's hard to say in any sort of definitive way which were the most powerful across a decade. What we can identify with certainty, however, are the passports that have improved the most over the decade. So, without further ado, these are the nations that have distinguished themselves as making the greatest leaps and bounds in terms of mobility and diplomatic relations over the last decade. Please note, we do have a few ties in our list today, and in these cases, we'll be discussing two passports in a single entry. Number 10, Vanuatu. Cracking the top 10 with 53 new visa waivers to its name, we have Vanuatu. And based on where this island nation in the Pacific began in the 2010s in terms of passport power, that represents an impressive 71% gain. Despite being particularly vulnerable to natural disasters, the archipelago of Vanuatu is often described as paradise by visitors due to its staggering natural beauty and ample opportunity for adventure. Paradise though it might be, passport holders from this nation have plenty of destinations to choose from when they need a holiday. Germany for those who love beer and architecture, Singapore for a unique pairing of inexpensive street food and high-end nightlife, Belarus for a charming escape with few crowds, or for those who just can't get enough natural beauty, Costa Rica. Number 9. Timor-Leste. The Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, also known as East Timor, is located in Southeast Asia, became a sovereign state in 2002 after declaring its self-determination in 1999, and the nation has wasted no time in building up the power of its passport. By 2010, it was 89th globally in terms of mobility. Flash forward to 2019, and it had climbed to 48th with the addition of 55 new visa waivers. Passport holders can now visit many countries visa-free. Some highlights include Hungary, where the capital city of Budapest never fails to inspire a sense of wonder. Or perhaps Montenegro, with its beaches and historic towns. Travel opportunities abound for the Timorese. Number 8. The Federated States of Micronesia. The Federated States of Micronesia certainly lives up to the micro in its name. Small though it might be, Micronesia has proven mighty in terms of international travel. Since 2010, it's added 57 visa-free waivers for an overall mobility score of 116 on the Passport Index. So, how can Micronesian passport holders flex this power? Well, those who prefer not to stray too far from their comfort zone can visit the aforementioned Vanuatu. If they happen to be into K-pop, a trip to trendy South Korea is another appealing option. Mexico's capital city is always an incredible destination, and is similarly accessible visa-free. While New York City is a trip everyone from everywhere should make at least once. Number 7. Marshall Islands and Palau. Hedging out Micronesia by just one visa waiver apiece, both the Marshall Islands and Palau, modestly sized nations in the South Pacific, have added 58 visa-free waivers to their respective passports over the last decade. That being said, the Marshall Islands technically does have a slight advantage, given that its overall mobility score is 121, whereas Palau scores 117. The countries actually share many visa-free destinations in common, but there are a few key differences. The Marshall Islands passport grants visa-free access to Antigua, Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and Zambia, among others, while Palau has Israel and the Gambia. Number 6. Georgia and Moldova. With 62 new visa waivers apiece added this decade, Georgia and Moldova are doing their residents proud. Both countries have had to weather more than their fair share of conflict and/or civil unrest. But over the last decade, Georgia and Moldova have each individually distinguished themselves with the strides they've made in terms of diplomatic relations. For both of these countries, this decade saw a 110% increase in passport power. With an overall mobility score of 123 compared to Moldova's 120, Georgia has a slight advantage, but both countries have a wealth of travel options in front of them. Moldovan passport holders can visit Turkey, Namibia, Chile, and Albania, while Georgians can go everywhere from Argentina to Brazil to Iceland. Number 5. Bosnia and Herzegovina. If you happen to be a passport holder from this nation, your passport power has increased by a whopping 119% over the last decade, with the addition of an impressive 64 visa-free waivers. So, how are Bosnia and Herzegovina's passport holders taking advantage of their increased freedom of mobility? With trips to the still enticing Hong Kong, for which both Georgia and Moldova require a visa to visit. As with Georgia, however, individuals from Bosnia and Herzegovina can visit both Brazil and Moldova visa-free. Considering Bosnia-Herzegovina was only founded in 1992 and endured war, we'd say that it's doing alright for itself. Number 4. Albania. Hedging out our previous entry by just one visa-free waiver, Albania enjoyed a 131% increase in its passport power over the decade. For years, this country was hard to access and largely closed off to the outside world. But following the revolutions of 1991, which ended the country's decades-long isolationist communist regime, Albania has been focused on world engagement, as evidenced by the growth of their passport. Albanian passport holders not only enjoy greater freedom at home, but also abroad. They can take in the iconic sights as they explore France, sample the traditional wines of Armenia, or discover the landlocked microstate of Andorra. And they can do it all visa-free. Number 3. Ukraine. Despite numerous geopolitical tragedies and controversies, over the last 10 years, Ukraine has added 69 visa-free waivers to its passport, for an overall mobility score of 141 points on passportindex.com. This Eastern European country appeals to travelers with its rich culture, distinctive cuisine, and the ample opportunity for adventure it presents. But what about a Ukrainian passport holder who's already seen and done it all within their own borders? Well, how about a trip to beautiful and welcoming Ecuador? Maybe some much needed beach time in Jamaica? Ukrainians can do it all without a visa. Number 2. Taiwan. Jumping ahead of the Ukraine with an additional 10 visa-free waivers, Taiwan had one heck of a passport power decade. Given Taiwan's difficult relationship with China, its ties with other nations have often been strained. But over the last decade, despite their official diplomatic relations numbering just 14 UN member states, Taiwan has established alternative connections throughout the world. As such, its passport holders can explore foreign lands like Peru, take in the iconic sights of the United Kingdom, or rediscover their spirit of adventure by venturing to the enticing Pacific nation of Tuvalu. Number 1. United Arab Emirates. PassportIndex.com describes the United Arab Emirates as the unicorn of the decade, and by that they mean that its passport is truly one of a kind, and its growth hard to fathom. Over the last decade, between 2010 and 2019, the United Arab Emirates managed to add 110 visa-free waivers to its passport. That's a staggering evolution. An economic center of the Middle East, the United Arab Emirates and its citizens maintain business ties the world over, and its powerful passport is reflective of this need for global freedom. If an Emirati passport holder wants to visit, say, Ireland, the beaches of Grenada, or the Grand Bazaar of Morocco, easy peasy. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MojoTravels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.